Happy Miracle Monday. My name is Dawn Petalino, and I'm your transformational coach and best-selling author of Peace, Power, and Miracles. And Miracle Monday is just the place I offer you truths and tools to help manage our lives better and help us feel more peaceful in our lives while we might be going through hard situations, but to open us up to more miracles in our lives as well. And today's Miracle Monday is about boundaries. It's about trying to handle upcoming situations that we might feel nervous about. And one thing that happens is we try, our brains, it's what our brains do, is there's an upcoming situation, maybe a person that we have to deal with, and we feel nervous about that. We don't know how we're going to handle it, and our brains go into, what if they say this? What if they do this? What do I do this? Now, sometimes it is good to have a plan, I like to have like the plan in my back pocket of, all right, and when I say a plan for myself, it's what's my objective. If I can keep my little overarching objective in my head of what I'm going to go in there, into that situation, talking to that person, what is my overall objective or intention going into it? And I try to keep it short. Like something might be, my intention here is to create a connection. That might be my intention. Or my intention here is to be true to myself. That might be my intention. So I go in with that short little objective. But what our minds sometimes do when we go into these uncomfortable situations or conversations, especially conversations that we might be afraid of how they're going to go. And because we're not sure of somebody's response. It's that uncertain factor that throws us into a tailspin. What if they say this? What if they do this? And then we get all nervous and ungrounded, and it starts to feel like you need to study for a test, like I have to have all my cards laid out. And that's a really hard place to be. So what I do and what helps me is whenever I have to go into an uncomfortable conversation or a situation or something where there's that uncertain factor I'm nervous about, because I can't know what somebody or something's going to do. I can't predict it. So here's what gets you grounded again. You go back to yourself. First of all, I tell myself, I'll handle it. I'll handle it. Secondly, I can't handle information I don't have. So the first thing I need to do is I need to keep an open mind, and I need to stay intact in here, which can be tricky if we're all up here in our head. And so what I do is I just try to stay conscious and aware of my inner self. So my inner feelings and emotions at the same time that I might be entering into a situation, and reminding myself that I will know how to respond when I get that information. So I have to go into a conversation with my intention. I just did this the other night with my fiance. I had an uncomfortable conversation I had to go into, and I didn't know how he was going to respond, if he was going to get upset, if it would end in an argument or not. My intention to go in and to say, I want to be open-minded and open-hearted. My intention here is to try and be as open-hearted and as open-minded to my higher self and higher power as I can be. I have to be present. So that was my intention. May I be open-minded, open-hearted, and present. So then I go into the conversation. I have no idea how this person's going to react. And rather than go into all the what-if scenarios and get to judgments in my head, and while he's talking, come up with my arguments, I had to remind myself, listen, and I'll handle it. And as I gather information, pause. I had to stop and pause and take my own temperature first, because when my defenses get up, what that's really happening there is my fears have gotten control of me. And if my fears get control of me, then I might shame myself or I might blame you. But when I stay intact, I sit there and I feel my own temperature first. How does that make me feel when he says that? Okay, what's true about that? Okay, what can I do about that? What do I have control over? And keeping in mind my intention when I was going in there, my intention, that we create a connection, that I remain open-minded, open-hearted. And so keeping clear of what I was going in with, gathering information within the conversation, pausing and taking my temperature first before I responded. And that's the difference. I respond and not react. Now, that doesn't mean different voices didn't come up in my head that I wanted to say, but I was able to pull back and say, wait a minute, get clear within myself. How am I feeling? Is there truth to this? What can I do? What's my part? What's not my part? And then the response that I give is much clearer. I'm less attached to that person. I'm less attached to their response, because my job going into any scenario is to love myself, remain intact, be kind to myself, and do my best ability to be kind to another. That doesn't mean I don't say no. Sometimes love says no, but I do it respectfully. And when I can do that, when I can go into the conversation, and the more we practice, the better we get. Not that I haven't not done it so well in the past, which is probably why I'm better at it now. But the more we practice and go into that scenario, knowing that I'll handle it. And when I get the information, I'll stop and pause and check in. And then I will come from my own integrity and my own truth, in kindness to myself and in respect to the other person, to the best of my ability. And the other thing I want to just add is surrendering the whole entire conversation, surrendering it all to the higher power, because there isn't just you and me, there's you, me, and a third. The third is the awareness and the consciousness that I have no control over, but that can connect in your brain and in mine. I don't have that power to connect in your brain, but there's a higher consciousness, a higher power that does. And so when I go in and I pray that that higher power, that higher consciousness, be at the forefront of this conversation and guide my thoughts and words, then I feel like everything after that I'm not carrying it all on my shoulders. So happy Miracle Monday. I hope this helps you. I hope if you have to go out into the world today and maybe have an uncomfortable conversation or enter into a situation where there are uncertainties, to just remember, I will handle it. And what's my job? What's my intention? And my intention is always, may I love myself here, and may I love someone else to my best of my ability. And again, that doesn't mean we don't say no. It just means, may I be kind? May I handle it with integrity? And then I will handle it as I gather information. But one thing I'm not going to do is scare myself to death in all these scenarios, because if the bottom line in anything is loving ourselves, then all it really means is the situation is about me. And how am I loving myself here? And likewise them. But when I respect their ability to love themselves, I don't have to control it. Happy Miracle Monday. I hope you take that out with you to this week. And I hope you, if you like this, like it, share it with a friend. You can check out my website at www.dawnpetalino.com, and you'll find more books and blogs and different helpful tools and resources there. Have a miraculous Monday, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye for now.